Hello and welcome to the Gambling Files podcast, the podcast that now it's in its 50s is actually in better shape than ever before. I'm one of your hosts, Jon Bruford, joined by your other host, Fintan Costello. Fintan, hello.
Hello, John.
Hi.
Hi. Hey.
I went to see a physio this morning.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, well, it was because I've been getting pain in my back and in my right hip and my left knee and stuff, and it's all related to helping Annie and lifting a 12-year-old. You know, she's not light, and carrying her up and down stairs and stuff like that. And the doctor's like, "Yeah, I think I know what the problem is. I think it's carrying your daughter." I'm like, "You think?" And the physio agreed. But the physio also said that I am doing everything right and that I am a role model for people of my age. And
oh, no. You've reached that age.
You're
doing great, words. So you are.
No, it wasn't said like that at all. She was like, "I wish everybody approached these things the way that you did." And I'm like, thanks.
For somebody of your age.
For somebody with your diagnosis. So I'm just taking the positives there.
Old diagnosis now, is it? Fucking hell. All right.
But she basically said, "You're fine, but you're at that age where your body's saying you can't really do this anymore."
I went to a clinic this morning to get a blood panel done for like vitamin deficiencies and lipids and all that kind of stuff. And the guy taking the blood, he was Dutch, but he had like just you can hear the way he spoke English. There was just like a little bit of an Irish twang in his English. And he asked like, "Oh, where are you from?" And I just said Dublin. And then I'm like, "Where are you from?" And he goes, "Oh, well, I grew up in Ireland." And so we played my favorite game of figuring out, when you meet an Irish person abroad, figuring out like what you've got in common or how you know each other or mutual friends, right? And it's ridiculously easy to do. And turns out his brother went to the same school I did, just at a different stage. And then his parents live like 10 minutes from where my parents live. And yeah, just super easy. It took us about 10 seconds to quickly draw the map of like where everybody lived and what schools we went to and
Fintan.
all that kind of stuff. Just some small world, John.
I'm from Ludlow, Fintan. It's a town of 10,000 people. And it's like, as soon as somebody says, "Oh, I know somebody from Ludlow," I'll go, "Yeah, I probably know him." And they'll go, "No, shit, you don't." No, probably do.
Yeah, but there's 4 million people in Ireland, John. This isn't.
But no,
it's not equivalent.
But my point is, it is comparable, and probably harder to do because Ludlow's, it's a fart in the world. Dublin's a major international city. Ludlow is.
No, but it's like he's it's meeting anybody from Ireland. You can play this game and narrow it down really quickly. It's not like.
But nobody's going to admit to being from Cork.
There's nothing people from Cork love more than telling you how much they love Cork and how Cork they are and how great Cork is compared to the rest of Ireland. Like, it is like central to their.
Are they like
core
Ireland
beliefs.
Scousers? Every Scouser I met when I was living in Devon, and I met loads, would just spend ages telling me how brilliant Liverpool was, and you're thinking, "What the fuck are you doing in Devon?"
Look, the people in Cork love Cork. People outside of Cork are just waiting to move back to Cork. Like it's very much Corkonians love a bit of Cork.
Why is it named Cork? Do you know?
No idea. It's the Irish isn't Cork. It's like Cork or whatever. I don't know. That's the Anglicization of the actual name of the city.
You made it sound Welsh.
It's because I don't speak Irish very well, but it's Cork and Waterford and Dublin, and basically all the kind of major coastal cities were all effectively Viking settlements. So it's probably stuff to do with that as well. I probably got this arseways, but the Vikings had a lot to do with it.
I just assumed it was Portuguese.
And the Normans.
Oh, those Normans.
A lot of Normans, a lot of Vikings.
You would think, given the Norman heritage in the British Isles and in Ireland, you'd think that more people would be called Norman.
But the names, really, like a lot of the names are really like, there is, like, when you look at the surnames and stuff, you can see it quite well. In Ireland, you can see it quite easily.
It's funny though, when you meet people and you hear their names, there are certain names where I remember meeting a guy in a pub in Bungay on the Suffolk-Norfolk border, and he must have been 6'7". He was a really, really tall black guy, and we were having a beer at the bar, and he said, "What's your name?" I said, "John." And "What's yours?" He said, "Clement." And I said, "Your parents West Indian by any chance?" And he's like, "How the hell did you know that?" I'm like, "Your name's Clement, dude." It's West Indian names are very often what what in the UK we think of as quite old English names. Like if I met, somebody my sort of age, my sort of background, the likelihood of them being called Clement is so tiny it's indescribable. But anyway, I digress. I don't know how we got onto that.
Me neither.
I would like to say
Cool.
that we have a new sponsor. This is our second episode with this new sponsor, and we'd like to welcome them with a great fanfare. I was going to do this topless, but I thought we might get more people seeing it if my top's on. But we have a new sponsor in every Matrix.
We do.
And that's nothing to do with the films, which I was worried about because I thought, the first one was fine, but all the subsequent Matrixes have been pretty poor. But no, it's not that at all. I was wondering if there's going to be a company comes up called Every John Wick, but there isn't, apparently. It's nothing to do with Keanu Reeves' adoration.
Unregistered domain name now.
Oh, now you're talking. Let's do it. But we're welcome to our new corporate overlords, Every Matrix. They are one of our major sponsors.
Sports Matrix is what they'd like us to talk about, which is their sportsbook product, which they're rapidly expanding. So they've, I did the demo. It's brilliant. It just, you can run a sportsbook with a few clicks. Like, genuinely couldn't be easier.
So we could do that from our Every John Wick domain.
Oh, mate, we could have like the gambling sportsbook, and off we go. And
so we could use Every Matrix for the sportsbook side of it, and we could run the CRM presumably using. We can,
Optimove is fully compatible. Lots of their clients use Optimove, very happily. And Optimove, other sponsor. Gambling industry's #1 CRM software. Makes you money, saves you money, keeps your VIPs happy, keeps all your players happy.
And that means better sleep at night, better health, and you're more present when you're spending family time. So think of the children.
Think of the children, for sure. I agree.
Yeah. So who's on this episode?
This episode, we have a friend of the podcast. We have a returning guest, an amazing woman, and we have the absolutely lovely Kate Chambers.
Kate Chambers,
founder of the Gaming Boardroom, which I believe you might know about.
I am involved in that project.
The project, I'm working on a project.
Well, yeah. Some days I like to talk like Cartman, and you will respect my authority.
Respect my third time. God damn it.
It's a tremendous episode. No, so I was chatting to Kate last week, and it came up some of the stuff that she's been doing with Greg Saint, to help one of our partners with their with the way that they approach exhibitions, and kind of making it not just we've got to go and do all of these. It's to look at them and to evaluate what they want to do and what the best way to achieve their objectives and the most kind of efficient way to achieve their objectives is, and a way to do it in the most cost-effective way. And in fact, indeed, whether to do it. And I just found that really fascinating. And it's a unique thing that we do as part of the Gaming Boardroom, because the expertise of Kate and Greg is quite unique in the industry in the building of ice.
Agreed.
And the background of both of them is it's events, and it's large scale events, and it was fascinating. So I wanted to get Kate on to talk about that, because I thought the industry needs it.
I agree. I learned a lot. The sheer logistics and mathematics of picking a stand and what stand to get and the size. It's really fascinating stuff.
But also that
far
thing
more
about
involved than
that thing about thinking about what a successful objective is. Why do you want to be there? I'd be willing to wager that there's not a lot of people asking that question.
Oh, it's just, for sure, because it's you won't want the thing is it's accountability, right? So it's a tricky one. But no, look, I agree. I think if I was signing off on events budgets, I'd definitely be looking at it, and it's a very smart. You can bring science to it, which I really like. I like a bit of data and a bit of data rigor. It sets you up.
You just made data rigor sound really quite dirty.
That's your interpretation of that, John.
Yeah, probably is really.
People who know me know I love a spreadsheet. I love a spreadsheet. Run empires on spreadsheets. It's great.
Yeah. People who know me know that me and spreadsheets, we don't get on that well. Truly, Fintan, we are yin and yang. You stop pretending to be surprised, you twat.
You.
Of all people.
My little free spirit.
You, solitary panther. It sounds so much better than lone wolf.
Solitary sex panther. Come on now. We've agreed.
And, 60% of the time I work every time. Although I might need to update those statistics downwards.
It's hitting 50, isn't it? There's bills for that now, mate. It's fine.
Seriously, turning 50 has been interesting.
Really?
Yeah, it's. I
mean,
it
has there been any difference?
It feels very similar to 49. To be fair, but now what I do is like when I'm socializing with Rebecca, for example, I will say I've got an ache or a pain, or I make a particularly loud cracking noise in a joint as I stand up. I'll just say, well, I am in my 50s now. And it's one of my two stock phrases to avoid having a conversation. That one and fuck you, you're not the boss of me. It was quite funny because I got that into conversation this morning. And she said,
"Sir, I'm just this is a Greg's."
No. So we're sitting there, right? And Rebecca says something to me, and I just said, "Fuck you, you're not the boss of me." And she said, "You can't give that as a reply to everything." I'm just like,
so you don't want the toast.
I just had to look at it with my eyebrows raised, because the classic answer to that is, fuck you, you're not the boss of me. I'm just proving it here. And so I think we're on a solid footing there.
It's a poor woman.
Yeah, I feel bad for her as well. Also, we have a bonus episode coming out soon, but I'm not sure how we're going to put that out. I don't know how that works, really. Should we figure that one out? Should put it out there and just not tell anybody?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like all the other episodes.
Yeah, like those.
I've been very bad at LinkedIn lately.
Yeah, get on it. Do some pimping. Come on.
I've been busy. Really busy. Too busy.
Yeah, in your fucking sabbatical year.
Mate, the worst sabbatical ever. The fucking bags under my eyes.
It's not good. Although, you're doing things that you enjoy and that. It's just, life is not easy, is it?
I've made it complicated. It's fine. It's all self-inflicted. It's all good.
Okay, then.
It's fine. Right. On to the guest. On to the show.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
Yeah, Kate. Yeah, Kate. Enjoy, Kate. I mean enjoy. Well, I do mean enjoy. Podcast.
Enjoy the guest. Enjoy the show.
We're joined by this episode's guest. You might be able to hear my dog in the background a little on this one. He's a bit of a knob. And you might be able to see my laundry on the radiator behind me if you're watching the video. But if you're just listening in audio, ignore everything I just said. We're joined by the eminent returning guest, friend of the podcast, colleague of mine in sister project. What could I call it? It's cousin project. The Gaming Boardroom, the eminent Her Royal Highness Kate Chambers. Your Highness, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
That's fine, but I do get the impression that you're setting me up to fall from a lofty height when actually I'm probably not even halfway up the ladder.
I would never do that, Kate. But it's all relative to where you are, and you know what I mean. So I'm down here. So
I just want to make a comment also about your washing. I've been on many a call with you when you've had your pants on the radiator. So thank God they're not pants today.
To be fair, Kate, that could be a pair of my pants. Have you seen the size of my ass?
All right, big time. It's a t-shirt.
Sorry for extending the pan conversation, Fintan.
That's okay.
Extending.
I'll report it to HR. Don't worry about
I believe she's implying that I am a grower, not a shower, by the use of the word extending.
Wow.
Kate.
Wow, John. Jesus Christ.
What?
Really?
And you've got a lady on your podcast for the first time in a while.
What, have we not had ladies on recently?
Yeah, you have.
Oh, hang on.
Try and do it 50-50.
Wait, there is no effort at all to do it 50-50.
There
but
is.
Kate, are you saying that?
I am.
Are you saying that Catherine Sayer from the Wall Street Journal is not a lady, and you are?
No,
is this
I'm not
class
making.
thing?
I'm not making comments about how many women, ladies, female professionals you have on your podcast. Just really making a comment about the industry is dominated by men.
It is.
So naturally, you will have more men than women. But it's nice to be here making a representation.
Do you want a fun fact?
Yes.
Bring it.
The ladies episodes with female guests typically perform better than male guests.
Oh, do you know why?
They're usually more intelligent and have more interesting stuff to say. It's typically how it works.
There's pants talk, maybe.
Yeah, not really, but yeah. It's just funny how that works out. But typically they'll perform better. A couple of exceptions, but yeah.
Oh, there are exceptions.
There's a few exceptions. There's been a few episodes with some men who've done better, but yeah.
Oh, right. I thought you meant there were a few women that had done worse.
No, they're typically above average across the board.
Okay.
Okay. Thank God for that.
We've all learned
So no pressure,
something
Kate.
today.
No pressure.
Vincent, I disagree. I believe that there is some pressure there.
You reckon? No, Kate eats pressure for breakfast. She just fucking gobbles it up. Not a bother to her.
I was told, or I heard secondhand, that someone described me as ruthless.
Really?
Like, Chambers, she's ruthless. I was like,
No.
Never really heard that about me. I think it's because I sent a cease and desist letter through the lawyers to him, but.
Oh, okay. Well,
Maybe he feels
that would colour anybody's impression.
I'm not, but it's like, oh God, just shut up. It was a shut up, really. But I'm not really ruthless.
But if you annoy me,
it does make you wonder about the vagaries of language, and like if ruthless is a thing meaning sort of what is a ruth?
Oh, I thought you were talking about. I thought you were going to go like the double standards. So like,
no.
A girl is called bossy rather than if it was a boy, it'd be a leader. That kind of thing. I thought it was the double standard on that.
No, but I mean, you're dead right. And one of the many instances of casual sexism that people just don't even see when they're doing it. But I was just wondering if either of you know what a ruth is.
Nope, no idea. Probably some Saxon word or something.
Do you think it's Saxon? I wonder if it is a thing or if it's just I just don't know. I just don't know, Fintan. I don't know.
While we ponder that,
I'll ponder. You can talk to Kate.
What? Sure. So, Kate.
Now, Ruth is an archaic noun, and it means a feeling of pity, distress, or grief. So, ruthless, with that in mind, would be kind of lacking empathy, wouldn't it?
Yes, exactly.
But it's from the verb ruth, which obviously makes sense, doesn't it? Kate has no regrets. She's ruthless. Just saying. So, but anyway, right, the reason that we asked Kate back onto the podcast, friend of the podcast, Kate Chambers, is I was having a conversation with Kate last week. We were talking about all sorts of stuff, but we got into the subject of shows, the big expos, and there's a lot of them. And there's a lot of talk in the industry about, holy crap, there's too many, and yet everybody still turns up to all of them. And then Kate mentioned something that she had, because within the Gaming Boardroom, you have myself, you have Kate Chambers, and you have Greg Saint. And Kate and Greg have history working together on ICE for Clarion for some time. And they have a lot of live event, expo type experience. But it turns out that they were doing some assisting work for one of our clients. Kate, could you tell Fintan about that, please? Because I feel like I don't want to mansplain it to him.
Of course.
Right.
There's two schools of thoughts around when you're an exhibition organizer. One is you obviously, regardless of how your show performs, you want it to be successful. So you say what you need to say in order to get the sales in.
Sure.
And a lot of organisers do it. And I'm talking broadly. I'm not picking out gaming. I'm just talking broadly. And there is an association, actually, which most large event organisers belong to. And they used to insist if you ran a trade show over 2,000 metres, you had to have an audit certificate. So they would come in, they would audit the show so you could send you a certificate. So everyone who was interested could ask for the certificate, so you could say, yes, this show was audited. It had X amount of visitors, X amount of exhibitors. It was this size, ran on these days.
Got it. Okay.
And that was one of the things about signing up. However, of course, 2008 comes around. Everything goes pear-shaped. For a lot of industries, marketing is always hit in a recession. Events are easy to get rid of because they're a big cost base. Mm-hmm. So everyone went, we're not filling out. We're not doing certificates. If you want to kick us out of the AEO, that's fine. So the AEO had to say, okay. But what it's left the industry with generally is this sort of marketing ploy of, that sounds good, let's round that up, or let's round that down, or we could say just under 20,000, when in fact it's about 16 and a half. So saying over 15, it's just under 20, because that sounds good. It's a bit like, it's just endless.
As a marketing guy, I've done all of this.
Of course. However, there are times when you...
This is why we're recording this, Kate. We're recording this so that Fintan can take his notes off it later.
But there are instances when you're working on a product where you don't need to lie, because actually the numbers are pretty darn good and the results that people are getting from those metrics are really good. And to be fair, when I joined ICE all those years ago, it wasn't good. But I worked my arse off for 13, 14 years. And actually, we didn't need to lie about the numbers. The show was good. It was working. There's always things that you can put right or do better in trade shows, because it's just a moving mass, a nightmare mass when it gets to that size. But the numbers stacked up. We never had to lie about, because I suppose we were the biggest, so we didn't have to exaggerate. But there's a proliferation at the moment of some organisers who say the greatest, the biggest, the best. But actually, all those words are pretty subjective to the person that is actually buying into that brand. And I just think that people in the gaming industry should know the right questions to ask, because don't tell me one more time that there's too many shows. Actually, the power of how many shows there are is in the hands of the exhibitors, the potential exhibitors. If a show doesn't work for you, then why are you doing it? You shouldn't be doing it just because. So I sat 2017, 18, I got the 10 biggest slot manufacturers in a room at ICE. And we were talking about running an event for them. And they said, no, it's too many shows. Why do you want to talk to us about another one? And I said, well, because this event is going to do this. Very specifically, it's not a big open trade show, it's going to do this. And they said, there's too many. And I said, but each show that you do, you have the opportunity to do or not do. If some of them are very good, well, don't do them then. If that's ICE, come and talk to me about it. Because actually, I only want ICE to work. I don't want to be running trade shows that don't work, because there's no joy in that. Because work has to be joyful. I'm not in it just for the money. I want a sense of achievement and I want to hold my head up and be respected in an industry that I work in. However, there are a lot of people in this sector who are in it just for the money. And I have a feeling that maybe if given an opportunity, not people just in gaming, but if you could just show them how to evaluate what they're doing. Or actually, is it just worth a piss up? I don't know.
And I think, the amount of people I know who were in Lisbon for SBC had a really good, all the feedback I heard is fantastic. And then literally got home, changed their luggage, and straight out to Vegas for G2E. It's massive, right? It's just like back-to-back conferences. You're going to see a lot of the same people. There's a Venn diagram with a huge overlap between the two events.
Yeah.
In terms of the people you engage with. And personally, I'd be wrecked. It would take me a month to recover from that.
That Venn diagram looks an awful lot like a unicycle.
maybe I party a bit too hard at the events. Maybe it's more about me. It would definitely take me a few weeks to get back over it.
Too many meetings.
So I suppose like I've too many meetings. So I suppose I've never taken a stand at an event, so I haven't had to weigh it up from that kind of cost benefit analysis of the whole like staff, fees, assembly costs, making it look good, swag, drinks, whatever it's going to be, water bottles. So from an exhibitor's perspective, like how do you evaluate because like you could say, oh well, we got new business, or particularly when it's B2B sales, right? There's a big long lead time for B2B, so it can take 6 months, 12 months, take years to close a deal. Like how do you evaluate it, and how do you? Because you could imagine, like you said, it gets easy to get wrapped up in the FOMO of, oh well, this sounds like it's a great event. We'll need to be there because everybody's going to be there. And ICE is one of those events. G2E is one of those events. I think Lisbon for SBC was one of those events. Like how do you navigate all that?
I think it's really hard, but it actually starts way back when a company decides its strategy for that year. And I think that it might be the beginning of a 3-year strategy, or the second year of a 3-year strategy, or I think it's about deciding what you want to achieve that year, and then deciding what your marketing mix is. And because events actually sit in a marketing mix, and as we know, marketing campaigns are about brand, are about visibility, are about selling the stuff, about many different things, depending on where you are in the company's life cycle. And there is no doubt that events are an essential part of a marketing mix, because it puts you front and center in front of your customers, and they get an opportunity to touch, taste, smell, experience your brand live. So they are a good thing, but there's no point in going to a exhibition which predominantly has CEOs in it and taking a load of product which actually they're not responsible for buying. What you need to be doing with them is saying, actually, we're the number one. This is who we are. This is how we stack up in the market. This is what we do. Because actually you want that CEO to sit in a meeting when they're getting presented with a marketing budget, and they're going, marketing, brand, man, marketing, it's all about whatever, ephemeral stuff, I don't understand. And then they can turn around and say, so what are we doing with them? Or have we got them? Or that, so that there's a point. If you're going to a conference where you want to sell stuff, ICE is one of those, as I assume is Lisbon to a certain extent, because people are selling data. Actually, if you just go and say we're brilliant, they're going to go, what? Arrogant. Okay, but what have you got? What can I see? What have you got? What are you going to do? So I think so that's the first step, is deciding actually. And if you take, especially in land-based, if you take product, it's a much bigger stand than if you don't, because those bloody tables and slot machines are bulky items. So there are certain things which I know. So per person on a stand, you need roughly 4 square meters for them to move around in. That's because they will be talking to someone, they'll be sat at a table, they'll be demonstrating, each product needs around 4 square meters. So if you take 10 people and you've got 20 product, what's 30 times 4? You need 400 square meters. No, 3 times 4 is... mental I think.
So 20 times 4 would be 80. Yeah.
Now, you can obviously shave that off and say, but, and then you want to put cloakrooms in, and you want to put a bar in, and you want to, so actually there are statistical ways to work out what you want to achieve and how much space you need. And I think that one of the biggest things is if you don't know what you want to achieve before you go, then you've got no way of evaluating it. So what Jon was talking about earlier was one of the clients, it's a spreadsheet which I've sort of used, and none of the event organisers would love me for this particularly, unless their shows work, and they all say they do, so actually they should welcome it with open arms. It's a sheet which says, okay, what are your parameters? So how much is it? Are you going for sales? Okay, what's the average cost of a sale that you make? How many times do you need to see someone before you make the sale? On average, what's your average cost of a sale? What's your deal size? How many people are going to the show? How many of them do you want to meet? You can only have really, if your average meeting length is 20 minutes per person, the show's on for X amount of time, take an hour and a half off because they need a loo and lunch and all the rest of it. How many hours have they got? Okay, 20 minutes, they can do 2 an hour. Okay, that means actually, instead of going and saying, I need to do 300 meetings because there's 300 people there, actually, you're only taking 2 people, you're only going to be able to have 25 meetings, whatever it is. So it's about really understanding what size of stand you need, what actually is legitimately achievable. You might say, actually, once you've asked the organiser who's going, actually, I only want to see CTOs. They're the ones that specify my product. I only want to see CTOs. We've got 100 CTOs that are registered. Our fallout rate or our return attendance is actually normally 60% of that. So out of the 100, you're only going to get 60 there. Okay, I can do 10 meetings a day. Actually, if I take 5 people, I need this size stand. If I take 2 people, 3 people, I can take this size stand. Therefore, I don't need to spend the money because I've got 6 people on a smaller stand and be having a big stand and having them kicking their heels. So there are ways to evaluate what you should do, how much space you should take. It's up to you how much you spend or whether you want to spend £1 million on a Wednesday night party for brand. Brand's the most difficult because evaluating spend on brand and what it gives you back is always long term and in a way always relative.
Yep.
That's the hardest bit. Sales are easy. But there's also a disconnect because normally stand costs and show costs come out of a marketer's budget, but actually all the revenue comes from the sales team. And they're quite siloed sometimes in companies. They sometimes sit in completely different buildings or different countries.
Oh, don't get me started.
So actually, the marketeer who's spending the money needs to say to the sales team, I want to know what meetings you had. I want to know how many leads you had. You know, that box of business cards that you took away, I want photocopies of them all, or I want to know. And I want to know how many meetings you had out of the leads you had, who turned up, what sales. And I want to, because they'll know average sales and that, because it's all in the KPIs that the business delivers. But how many sales did you get? Who sold what? Have you had follow-up meetings? Well, you know.
The finger pointing that happens between marketing and sales.
It's terrible.
It's a real, like, the leads are weak. No, you're weak. You know, it's just, it's horrible.
You quoting Gary Glen Ross again?
I am.
I don't know, I'm just sorry. I feel like I've talked at you for about 10, 15 minutes.
No, I love the mathematics behind it. I've never thought about the mathematics of planning a stand, right? Like physically, how much space do we need? How many meetings can we actually do? How many people are we bringing? How many people do we want to meet? And then kind of using that to plan your logistics. Because then it also gets into things like, because you'd be like, oh, I want to do 10 meetings a day, right? Per person. But actually booking those 10 meetings becomes its own game, right? And everybody's experienced the last minute, somebody trying to book a meeting with you at one of these conferences. And you just know they're just trying to fill the diary for their boss. And there's no way this guy's showing up at 9 a.m. on the second day.
Yeah.
Right. It's just this isn't happening. This is just like, forget about it, pal. Like, So there is that kind of vanity. I'm just trying to show my boss my diary's full, and then I'm going to go on the lash that night. And I'm probably going to do all the deals at 3 a.m. at the bar. The branding bit's interesting as well, like sponsoring the big parties and stuff. It is an interesting conundrum because it kind of feels good at the time, but can you ever remember an actual sponsor of a party? Like, unless
you commit to 3 years of it.
And you really,
That's not just saying, oh yeah, I'll sponsor the party, ringing someone up and going, what are you doing for our party? I'm sponsoring it. Actually, no, you're paying to sponsor it. What are you also doing to promote it?
Agreed.
So if you look at, there's Dan Stone used to work on ICE, Sporting Tech.
Friend of the podcast?
Do a lot, actually, because Dan knows it's also partly his responsibility as the organiser's responsibility to promote, because actually it's your brand. Were you really just going to give it to someone else to take control of? That would just be crazy. So, I think that how many expense sheets have you rejected, Fintan, when you get back and your team put their...
I'm an amazing boss. I don't think I've ever rejected an expense sheet. I'm just like, just push it through, lads. Push it through.
No, I got to a point when I was just signing off 100 grand's worth of expenses for a 3-day trip. And I just thought, steak and eggs for breakfast every day.
It's a lot of Guinness, lads.
You get up and cook yourself steak and eggs for breakfast. No, I'm just not paying for it. Sorry.
Funny.
Do you know what I mean? So
100 grand for 3 days is quite a lot. That's
I didn't tell you how many people.
That's Wolf of Wall. Oh, okay, sorry. I was like, even I'd struggle to do that.
Not me. No, the whole team.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Nothing. Rookie numbers.
It's not even Fintan's cigar budget.
It's funny, I've had several conversations about it with, funny enough, associations, because I suppose now I'm free, not working for an organiser currently. Maybe they feel that I can say something. I don't know. Look, exhibitions, I love exhibitions. I still love ICE because in a way it was sort of moulded in my image, my personality, its tone of voice and personality. It's changing now, of course, because I'm not there to steer it, and it will change, but there's something, I'll always be fond of it. But I don't think they're doing anything odd now that I necessarily wouldn't have done, but I guess I'm more able to have those conversations about, I'll ask them the question. Don't just take their word for how big a show is. Why don't you go onto the venue website and have a look at what their gross meter size is? It's all very well saying you're the biggest in the world. But actually, how big is the venue? Oh, they're including all the catering space as well. Oh, organisers do not include feature space in their net numbers, only sold space. If you're counting gross space, I'll count all the footpaths going around the car park then. Do you know what I mean?
The smoking area outside kind of thing.
Well, no, that's no use to me to understand how big or how much I need to prepare for the show, count the smoking area or the footpath running down the side of the building or the stairs up from the metro station. Do you know what I mean? So I think people just must be aware of it and maybe ask the question. The other thing is regional trade shows. Regional trade shows, so small trade shows, and eventers do a lot of these regionally. Some of them work really well, and obviously companies do book them. And they attend, but then probably normally taken out of regional budgets. And if you go to the head office at any big company, they say, we do a lot of shows. Yeah, but head office is normally responsible for maybe ICE, G2E, SBC. And, you give your regional offices a budget, a promotional budget. If you don't want them to do shows, then tell them it's not for shows, it's for meetings and advertising. So it's a hard one. Do you block those shows? Do you encourage those shows? But again, the regional offices should do an evaluation of whether they're there or not, actually, or how big their stand is.
I suppose because there's also like you can like, do we need a stand? Is the other question, right? Can we achieve as much just by being there and booking the hotel suite next door, or parking a boat on the dock, or go for it.
The workers have just got in. So, yeah, absolutely. But there is a thing such as silent exhibiting. You just go and cruise. Don't take a space. Don't tell anyone you're there. You just go and have a look. You meet people. And actually you meet people that you don't normally see because you're cruising the aisle. And you're seeing who's on your competitors' stands. So I think, we used to, when I was at Clarion, we used to take a stand at G2E because it was base for the journalists, actually, more than anyone else. But a lot of the other shows, I just used to go and have a bit of a cruise around, blag my way in the lounge, VIP lounge or something. But I think it's quite interesting. I would encourage anybody to ask the right questions, but it's knowing what the right questions are. And then testing yourself. Actually, if I open it, I've actually got a list of, I can find where my mouse is. I think, there are some questions. So, fundamental, will I take more leads by taking more people to the event? Will I make more money by increasing the size of my booth? Debatable, always. What is the average deal size at each event, and how does this relate to booth size? And how can I increase conversion of leads pre-event and post-event? And I think, and then trying to work out, the metrics behind how much of the cost do I allocate to PR and brand, and how much do I allocate to physical sales? It's quite an interesting, and there's no right or wrong answer. Just ask yourselves these questions, put them in a sheet, and then when you get back, just see the results against all the questions that you asked. Okay, how much was the total cost? How many people did we take? What was the size of the booth? How many meetings did we go into the event with? How many meetings did we actually have? How many no-shows were there? So next year, if you make 100 leads and only 60 turn up, meetings and only 60 turn up, okay, we're going to get a drop-off of about 40%. So actually, if we want to do 100 meetings, because that's the metric we set, we actually need to book 100 and X amount of meetings to get that 100 meetings. So actually, and salespeople work much better if they know where the line is. Oh, go and book some meetings, fill your days. They go, oh, well, yeah, I can only do, we want 100 meetings. So you can do 10 a day, it's a 3-day show. We need X amount of people. That means we're taking 5. Sales manager, choose 4 other people for you to go with you, and your job is to sell, and you've got to book your meetings. And I want to know the meetings before you go, and then when you get back, I want it in a sheet which tells me what you've done. Now, is that micromanagement? No, because I'm not. Just people won't like doing it. I started off selling money and loans in the Daily Express and Daily Star. That was the beginning of my sales career. And we used to have to fill in a call sheet every day. Bloody used to hate it. And I used to sit next to this girl. My manager used to come round about, 6 o'clock every night and go, can I be a timesheet? And she used to be going, oh my God, filling it in, just randomly filling it in. I was like, oh my God, just so she could tick the box. She's done it. But I think that it's an important part of, and the people that do it properly and are successful and hold the meetings and can close and can tell you about the success metrics will be the stars of your team.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So actually, why would you not like it if you're good enough?
Yeah.
If you can prove, it's a way of proving.
Well, it's accountability, isn't it? It's kind of like, look, if your salespeople aren't doing this anyway, like there's problems there anyway. So
yeah,
it's more a case of just being accountable and opens the conversation. Okay, here was our hypothesis. This is what actually happened. Here's how we adjust for the next time. And it's just good business practice. It's a feedback loop. It's how we improve things. Actually, next time we can drop one body and we probably need a little less space, or we saw this other booth and they had done this and that actually worked really well for them, and I think we can copy that idea. And it's just if it's a good functioning organization, it should be a positive thing. For sure. Super interesting.
I don't know. Is it getting too deep into? I do have some OCD issues, and I quite like all this, but my brain is not necessarily. I don't like data and stats, so I get wedged between. I like knowing the answers, but I actually don't want to work it out because I don't like working it out.
That's because you're the boss and you got a team to do that for you. That's just. Shit rolls downhill. That's how that happens, Kate. That's all it is. It's fine.
Delegation and blame.
There we go. So it's all John's fault, and why hasn't he done it yet? Like that's the real question.
We come full circle.
Poor John. No, I'm only joking, John.
So I'm about to send this spreadsheet I've developed actually to the client. So I'm busy trying to work out the formulas. But funnily enough, one of the magazine publishers, I was talking about it the other day, and they said, "Oh, maybe there's one we could do for mags."
For sure.
I was like, "Yes, we should do that," because how many conversations have we had with a marketing director recently, John? And they said, "Oh no, they've got 100,000 subscribers. You've got 20. You're asking for the same amount of money. That's a better deal." And I go, "Yeah, but you don't know who those 100,000 are. They could be anyone. They don't even know who they are. They're just email addresses. We know who ours are. 70% of C-suite managers. What company they're from, what their names are."
But it's so easy to test. Like, it'd be so easy to, particularly if it's digital. But even, Ogilvy in the 50s was, A/B testing catalogs, Sears catalog, right? Testing print mags is, well established.
Well, no, but most of the publishers aren't publishing 12 issues a year anymore. They're mostly doing print copies around the major events or major events for them,
which you pick up, throw in your bag, and never read.
Which is in itself a scam, because if you can prove over a month, Fintan, you should know this. Print magazines. If you can prove that you've had a print run of X for a month or for 3 months in a year or something, so actually September, October, November is good because there's 3 big trade shows. You could print mags to dump away. They extrapolate that, and that's your annual readership or your whatever. My favorite about it.
My favorite one of that is I'm just off Oxford Street. Mm-hmm. There's the post office, the big post depot, and there's a big fence along the post depot, surrounding the post depot, full of billboards, right? For movies, shows, just every inch billboards, because the way to count footfall around a billboard is the distance from the billboard. So it's just within striking distance of Oxford Street. So even though you can't really see it from Oxford Street, everybody walking up and down Oxford Street counts as a billboard impression.
Oh my God.
And they're just messing the numbers. But then for magazines and newspapers and stuff, it's all about, how much is paid versus freebies, like the free newspapers at the hotel or the free newspapers at the airport. All get counted in circulation numbers. There's the trick of assumed
readership as well.
1.2 people. back in the day.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, they would have passed it on to 4 of their colleagues for sure. They ran out of fucking toilet paper that day.
Now, 2.3 readers per.
But the thing is, right, so when I was on Casino International, there were, talks about, circulation figures and this and that and the other. And I just said to them, well, why don't you just audit where it's really expensive? Yeah, but then you've got an actual figure that people can believe. You go to the Audit Bureau of Circulation, they will count how many you send versus how many you print or whatever. And they did it. They did an actual ABC, which was relatively unusual at the time.
Oh,
and
wow.
of course, with digital, I think when I was on it, we were the first of the trade publications to do a digital publication, and we did cut the print down because print is an enormous cost. Print and postage is an absolutely gigantic cost. And then, of course, you've got impressions. You can see you can see where people go in on the page. There's stacks of information. But if you've got 100,000 people in your database, as far as that particular body is concerned, that's the only important thing they need. The worst thing for them to do would be to disseminate that information and make it available, because then people will know that it's all going out to the Latvian Plumbing Union. In some instances, it's in a publication's best interest to not reveal its readership, and I think that the publication that Kate is talking about, I believe that they will never ever reveal who their readers are. So I think those Latvian plumbers read a lot of magazines.
They actually don't know who they are. The trouble is they can't say who they are individually, but they have to report a number.
Yeah, my point is that it's not in their interest to find out who they are. They don't need that part. They just need that number.
Is there a preoccupation with size in this industry?
I've certainly met a lot of people with small penis. No, hang on. Well,
I used to have a senior marketing director come up to me and go, yeah, but have we still got the biggest stand? I used to go, yeah. They go, oh, that's right then.
That's a big one. That is. The bragging rights around that is.
But the industry, like in terms of the expos, people are starting to think about, what was that thing that you mistakenly got invited to, Fintan? The Power 50 thing.
There was no mistake. I was a VIP.
Yes.
Oh, the EGR Power 50.
Yeah, you're actually there to wait on tables, but unfortunately, you didn't read the second email, did you?
I didn't.
Here's your exclusive invite, Fintan. Bring a black tie. But no, the smaller, more targeted events are
it's one of the best things I do. Yeah, for sure.
The future of the industry. And it's about having the quality people in the room. Like when we set up British Casino Awards, I said, right, the only thing we have to get right here is we have to get all of the British casinos in the room. Like if we do that, everything else follows. It sells itself to sponsors, etc. We've got this amount of people coming from this amount of casinos. Would you like to talk to them? And it's not about scale anymore, although, obviously some organisers do like to talk about scale quite a lot, but that's not the... When you're in an expo, it's like it can be too busy. It can be too busy to have meetings. It can be too busy to achieve your objectives. And actually, I remember one guy I was talking to, Matt Brown, who was at I can't remember the company's name, which is really bad because it's the founder's name. It'll come to me. But anyway, he used to come to ICE to see the tribal leaders because he could never get near them at NIGA. So for him, that was quality time with his customers that he couldn't get at the show where he was supposed to be getting quality time with his customers. See what I mean?
But that makes sense. That's just being strategic, right? Just, it's, if I'm going to an event, there's a bunch of people I want to meet, and I'll organize that and just go get it done, right? Half the time I don't even hit the conference floor.
Yeah, but realistically, he should have been able to achieve that at Niger. Practically, he couldn't achieve that at Niger, so had to go and do it in a different way. So,
True. Yeah, that's what I mean. I think it's super smart. It could be cheaper too.
Yeah, I think so. But, I think that the era of size being important is on the way out. And that's what I'm telling my girlfriend every day.
Good for you.
Thanks.
Oh, Fintan.
Is he like this every day? Is he like this every day, Kate? Is this the kind of energy he brings? Is this...
Well, no, actually, he's not. So sometimes in our meetings, sometimes I'm quite ruthless. I've got my blinkers on and I am going to achieve X, Y, Z. So say what you want, but we are going to go down this road. And Greg's worked with me for a lot longer, so he recognises the signs. But then occasionally I go, so what do you think, John? He goes, yep. You got any thoughts about it? Nope. Or he'll go. And I'll get about 4 words out of an hour's meeting with him, because we have a catch-up every Monday morning at 10. I get 4 words, and he'll go, I got a newsletter to write. Bye. That's it.
I'm saving all the quality words for the newsletter.
I did take you to task over it, though, last week.
Did you? I might have muted the call on that one. Did you take notes?
That's not.
Was I just nodding and smiling at that point?
Oh, God.
Nodding and looking concerned. Sorry about that, Kate.
Yeah,
but part of the reason that I thought the expo thing was interesting was because it's something that's quite unique for you and Greg, and the value that you've brought to our partner and client is, it's really big. It's really big. I thought it was worth highlighting.
Yeah. It's interesting because I was asking them, as you should do with any client, how you finding the contract? How's it going? Do you need anything else? Can we do anything better? What's working? What's not working? And they said, no. We wanted to be part of a community because we wanted to do some positioning work and some branding work, but actually the biggest part of it is we just wanted consultancy, and we wanted some support around the industry and some guidance because we're quite a new company, and actually the consultancies work really well. So actually this whole how do we make the most out of trade shows actually has been a really good thing. It's made Craig and I think about what we do, what we have been doing in the past, but actually I think it's been helpful for them. In fact, we're going to do a podcast on it with their marketing manager later in October to ask her, so how do you make these decisions about how many people you take? How do you decide? What are the markers which say
the answer is we ask Kate. Did I just spoil the ending?
No, not at all. I can't answer that question because what do you want to achieve? I want to sell stuff. Why are you going to the EGR Power 50 event then? You're not going to sell stuff, are you? Who buys your stuff? Well, it's regional buyers. Well, go where the regional buyers are then. Do you know what I mean? Would it be better to work out where the majority of your customers are, pick your nearest office, have you got a showroom? Yes, have a big party there. Invite them all in. Most companies at G2E, most land-based companies at G2E, do not sell anything on the 3 days of their show.
Really?
Nothing, because they spent the previous 2 weeks hosting their biggest customers in their own showrooms, and that's where they've done the deals. The stuff they pick up at the show is people who are not big customers, important customers. They're people that come and want smallish orders or want to look at a new product or want to do a test or want to do something. Most of their deals are done in the 2 weeks prior to G2E.
But even with like the walk-ins on the show, they're not closing any deals?
Well, they are closing. I'm not saying no sales. What I'm saying is most of their deals, their big deals.
With the established big customers, that's all taken, which, to be honest,
why would you want to do a big deal for millions in a flimsy booth in the backside of a rickety stand where the person who's in the next office can hear what you're saying? So there's your price, I
completely agree. Like, I've seen this from the affiliate side where you got the affiliate stand, all the chaos stuff, but the actual deals and business stuff is happening weeks, or like it's basically happening not at the conference.
Yeah.
You meet them for lunch or dinner, you do your whole thing, deal gets done, it's more relaxed, not looking over your shoulder.
PR.
That kind of stuff. Yeah, it makes perfect sense. Wow.
Who knew?
Interesting.
It's all for show.
Yeah.
It's all for, the shows are for show.
Well, yeah, it is about brand and image, isn't it? It is and it does sort of make sense. But I've always said about the Macau show, and I'm not dissing Reed for this, because when you compare it to the Macau gaming show, G2E Asia is by an indefinable measure a far better event. But for the Macau market, you could host it in a fucking broom cupboard, and all the deals have been done a long time before anybody's gone to the show, and by which I mean years. The deals are done when the ground's broken on a project, and their replacement cycle, certainly on slots, is like, it's not even worth talking about.
The Macau show doesn't exist just to buy and sell stuff.
No, okay. No, it doesn't.
There's a whole lot of politics behind it. Think about who actually owns it. Think about where it is, what country it's in.
Absolutely. But if it was really an Asia show, then it wouldn't make sense to have it in Macau. I've been saying for years, if I were running that show, I'd put it on in Singapore, because Macau is a pain in the ass to get to. And actually, as far as Asia is concerned, as far as buying and selling and distributing is concerned, Macau isn't important.
Singapore.
Do what, sorry?
We'll try to run a big trade show in Singapore with gambling.
I have not, Kate, but have you ever tried to get to Singapore?
Yeah, it's a real slight problem if you vape, isn't it?
If that is the biggest problem that you have, I think that's a good one.
You can smoke, but you can't vape.
There you go, see? Problem solved.
And you get arrested if you're caught with one.
Really? With a vape?
Yeah, but it's corrupting the youth. That's why vaping's considered taboo.
In fairness, the double mango thing is quite addictive. It's
For people not watching the video, I'm looking at Fintan in horror.
Why? No? You haven't tried a double mango vape?
I
haven't done any vaping, Fintan.
Have you seen me and Fintan vaping through this call? And I'm surprised you haven't had a snack on your desk, John, that you do when we're on a call.
No, that's just when it's in the morning. I've had my steady supply of meat. I'm a little shocked, though, Fintan. I'm surprised. I thought your body was a temple.
I don't vape regularly, but occasionally I will. Yeah. It's not a.
It's a good job your wife and son aren't listening to this, and it's a good job you know they don't and will never listen.
So I can be brave. The real me.
But I used to smoke, which is why I'll never vape, because that old nicotine addiction, that's a real thing. Not going back to that, Jesus. But anyway, it's by the by. When they do a vaping equivalent for alcohol, then I might be interested. If I can inhale something and get pissed, I'll be all right. In meetings, but not in Singapore.
Yeah, but that means that the only point of drinking is to get pissed, which actually isn't, is it?
Yes,
it's about the enjoyment of the drink and the sociable that you sat with friends, theoretically, while you're drinking. Or you just had a hard day's work.
That's taking a big leap there, the sitting drinking with friends thing. But the whole drinking for enjoyment thing. Here's the thing, right? The whole drinking for enjoyment thing. Like, there's an awful lot of drinks out there that taste.
Imagine taking a tablet, getting pissed, and then spending 2 days getting over it. What a fucking nightmare.
But can you honestly, right? And I was talking to Toby about this, right? We were trying to work out why on earth we had a second cigarette. And then he's like, well, actually, for that matter, why did we have a second pint of lager? Because actually, the first time you taste lager, it's minging. It is to teenage taste buds. Lager's just, ugh. And that's the first cigarette is disgusting. Second cigarette, why? Why would you? The first one was awful. Just saying. That, the idea of drinking for pleasure, I just...
Why do people have more than one child?
Seriously, I've asked people in the past, like, you know, I've seen them out and about with their kids and you know, with their partners and all that, and I go, you know, oh, you see you out with your kids, are they twins, or if there's 3 of them, triplets? Are they triplets? Like, no, they're like 15, 7, and 2. I'm like, no, but you didn't seriously fuck her 3 times.
Jesus Christ, John.
What's wrong?
Some jokes just don't land, mate.
I wasn't actually talking about men having more than one child. I was talking about women and the pain of childbirth. Why would they do it again?
Oh yeah, that too. Yeah, Jesus. Yeah. No, that's where I was headed before Fintan derailed me.
Don't drag me into this car crash.
Fintan, shit rolls downhill. That's what I've learned today.
Fintan, delegate and blame. It's a DB rule.
That's all I'm doing. You might be chairman, Fintan, but doesn't mean you've earned my respect.
Fair enough.
I guess part of what we're saying here, Kate, is that if people want to consult on expos and efficacy and value, then at the Gaming Boardroom, www.thegamingboardroom.com, we are available to consult on such subjects as part of our partnerships. So head over to the site and have a look.
Is that an advert?
Can be. Sponsorships are available. We can get you all the metrics. We can show efficacy. It's fine. We're fully digital.
Funny, John.
He's right. We can.
Or if you just want to chat, just give us a call.
Good plan.
Hang on. How do we charge him for that?
Obviously.
Oh, we don't. It's fine. Friend of the podcast.
Oh, okay.
Well, yeah. Okay. Considering that you're part of both these businesses.
Yes, I am. Bridging.
Straddling. Straddling's a better word, John.
Oh, that's what a colossus would do, isn't it?
Straddle.
Yeah, I'm a straddler. Mum phones me at work. What are you doing? Just straddling, Mum. Oh, God. I've just remembered it's a funny story from my youth about my mum.
Jeez, I thought we were winding up.
And my mum.
We're not to end the conversation.
Hang on, Fintan. Hang on. I'm just rounding the episode up to an hour.
Fun.
So there's a place near where I live called Rhayader, and it's quite famous locally. It's, you know, there's 3 dams there. It's quite beautiful. And there's a lovely race there, Fintan. Oh, no, hang on. I'm thinking of somewhere else. But there could be a lovely race there. It would be really nice. But there is a lovely race around a reservoir in North Shropshire. I'd highly recommend it. Anyway, so my girlfriend at the time, I'd have been about 20, 22 maybe. My girlfriend at the time, Jo, it had been throwing it down in rain for weeks. She's like, should we go to the dams and have a walk around? Because like, the dams will all be overflowing. It'd be really cool. Because this is what you do in the country. And I said, yeah, it sounds really good. And I'd never been to the dams, and I'd never had occasion to say the name of the place where the dams are. So I was talking to my mum later that day. I said, I'm going to ride her tomorrow, Mum. And Mum said, that's nice, dear. Ride who?
Also works in Ireland. That's a good one.
True story. So on that note, Kate Chambers, friend of the podcast, returning guest, thank you very much for joining us. Fintan, thank you for accepting the blame in everything that you did wrong today.
Big shoulders.
Have you?
Yeah, huge. Jacked. No. Sorry. Let's wrap it up, John. Let's wrap it up. Come on.
Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.